You have something important to do. You know you need to do it. You've known for days. And yet here you are, reorganizing your desk, making another cup of coffee, checking your phone for the fourth time in 20 minutes, maybe doing literally anything else except the thing. And the worst part isn't even the wasted time. It's the feeling that comes with it. That low-level guilt that just sits there in the background the whole day, like a tab you can't close. So what's actually going on? You've probably told yourself you're just lazy, or that you work better under pressure, or that you just need to find the right productivity system. But here's what the research actually says. Procrastination has almost nothing to do with laziness, and everything to do with how your brain handles emotions. Let's break it down. Here's the cycle most people are stuck in, and you'll probably recognize it immediately. You have a task. It feels uncomfortable, maybe it's hard, maybe it feels high stakes, maybe it's just boring and you resent it. So your brain, which is wired to move away from discomfort, nudges you towards something easier. YouTube, snacks, tidying up. That easier thing feels good for about 5 minutes. Then the guilt kicks in. And now you're not just avoiding the task, you're avoiding the task and feeling bad about avoiding it, which makes the task feel even more loaded and stressful, which makes you want to avoid it even more. That's the procrastination loop. And the more you go around it, the harder it gets to break. Most productivity advice tries to fix this by giving you better systems, new apps, stricter schedules, more discipline. But that's treating the symptom, not the cause. Because the cause isn't a planning problem, it's an emotional one. In 2013, psychologist Fushia Sirois published research showing that procrastination is fundamentally a failure of emotion regulation, not time management. What that means is, when you procrastinate, you're not bad at planning. You're bad at tolerating the negative feelings that come with starting a task. Think about it. What does starting a difficult task actually feel like? Anxiety, self-doubt, boredom, frustration, fear of failure, fear of judgment. Sometimes, all at once. Your brain experiences those feelings as a threat, and it responds the same way it would to any threat. It tries to escape. The escape is short-term relief, immediate, guaranteed. The task, on the other hand, the relief there is delayed, uncertain, and conditional on actually doing it well. So your brain picks the guaranteed option every time. Not because you're lazy, because you're human. Here's where it gets really interesting. There's a part of your brain called the amygdala. It's your threat detection center. It evolved to protect you from predators, danger, social rejection. But here's the problem. Your amygdala can't tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and an email you've been putting off for 2 weeks. It just sees uncomfortable thing, and it fires. When that happens, blood flow is redirected away from your prefrontal cortex, the rational planning part of your brain, and toward your fight or flight systems. In other words, the very moment you need your thinking brain the most, your emotional brain literally takes it offline. This is why you can sit down, fully intending to work, and then 30 minutes later realize you've done absolutely nothing. Your brain wasn't being lazy. It was being cautious, badly calibrated, but cautious. Here's a finding that surprises most people. Researchers at Carleton University in Canada studied students after an exam they procrastinated on studying for. They split them into 2 groups, those who beat themselves up about it and those who practiced self-forgiveness. Which group do you think procrastinated less on the next exam? The ones who forgave themselves. Not the ones who felt guiltiest. Not the ones who punished themselves most. The ones who said, okay, I didn't handle that well. That's done. Let's move forward. Why? Because guilt and shame actually increase avoidance. They make the task feel even more loaded and threatening. But self-compassion calms the threat response. It lets your prefrontal cortex come back online. And that's exactly when you can actually get things done. So here's the reframe. Every time you've called yourself lazy, you were wrong. You weren't avoiding work. You were avoiding a feeling. And your brain was doing exactly what brains do, trying to protect you from discomfort. The problem isn't your character. It's that you've been trying to solve an emotional problem with a logistical solution. More to-do lists won't fix it. Better apps won't fix it. Waking up at 5 a.m. won't fix it, not by itself, anyway. What actually helps is learning to sit with the discomfort long enough to start. Because just starting, is the hardest part. And there's neuroscience behind why. Once you begin a task, your brain produces something called the Zeigarnik effect. You'll feel a pull to complete it, because your mind registers unfinished things as open loops that need closing. The resistance almost always lives at the beginning. Once you're in, it gets easier. You just have to get past the doorway. Here are 3 things that are actually backed by psychology, not just productivity influencer advice. First, name the feeling, not the task. Before you sit down to work, ask yourself, what emotion am I actually trying to avoid right now? Anxiety? Boredom? Fear of getting it wrong? Just naming it out loud or writing it down activates your prefrontal cortex and reduces the amygdala's grip. It sounds almost too simple. It works. Second, use the 2-minute rule but differently. You've heard of doing a task if it takes under 2 minutes. But here's the better version. Commit to working on something for just 2 minutes. Set a timer. You're not committing to finishing. You're committing to starting. Most of the time, you'll keep going. And if you don't, you still started, which is the hardest part. Third, ditch the guilt. Keep the standard. When you catch yourself procrastinating, skip the self-punishment. Try this instead. Acknowledge it neutrally, I've been avoiding this. And then ask, what's one small next step? Guilt spikes your threat response. Curiosity calms it. You'll make better decisions in the second state than the first. These aren't about being perfect. They're about working with your brain instead of fighting it. Procrastination is not a character flaw. It's a coping mechanism. And like all coping mechanisms, it made sense at some point, but it's costing you now. The moment you stop seeing yourself as lazy and start seeing yourself as someone who struggles with emotional discomfort, that's when everything starts to shift. Because now you can actually address the right problem. Next video, we're looking at why motivation is a lie and what high performers actually use instead. It's not what you'd expect. See you there.